So anyway, so Moshe Guy from Haifa, please tell us a little bit, anything you can, and then I would like to really just take a short segment about this concept that I've been working on, love your neighbor, and special ideas that I have about it, and then we can come back to you. How's that?
Very good.
Okay.
I want to talk today. We are now actually in a time that's called Shovavim. The meaning of Shovavim is that it's the initial of the first Parshiot of, we started the second book in the Torah, Sefer Shmot, and the first 6 Parshiot are, the initials are the word Shovavim. It's Shmot, Varea, Bo, Beshalach, Yitro, Mishpatim. It's the first 6 Parshiot. And Shovavim, that means to be naughty, yes? Yeshuvu banim Shovavim. Hashem says, listen, you're doing nonsense, so please come back and behave yourself like prince, children and boys and girls of the king have to behave. And this is the word, the meaning of Shovavim. But from the other side, there is the to be naughty, bakdusha. That means in the good way of being naughty. That means that we have to think about all kind of ideas how to in a way to win the exile, to win the situation that, if we think about it, since the flood, we're talking about the time of Noah, it's more than 3,000 years, yes? There was never a situation that all the world was under one threat. There was never, but there was the First World War, there was the second one, there was fighting in South America and in Africa, okay. But it was in one continent, in one place, one area. The other places were not involved. But now, in our, what we're dealing with now is all the world around. The globalization, what it's called, is now against us, because no one is free from this virus. Nobody is free from this threat. So we are in a very special time. And what we talked about last week, I don't know if you listened to the record, but the Zohar explains about the time of the flood, that actually Noah and his family were hidden in the ark, and that's what saved them, because the judgments, the messengers of the judgment of everything is messengers of Hashem, of course, but there was judgment in the world. All the world all the people of the world were drowned by the flood, and the way to save yourself from such a situation is to hide yourself, to go into the ark and to hide yourself. And that's what the Torah says, Bo el hateva, ata v'ishtecha uvanecha u'mshevanecha itach. That means, if I'll translate it, come to the ark, you and your wife and your children and your children's wives. Everyone should come into the ark. In Hebrew, we say teva. The word teva has 2 meanings. It has the meaning of a big ship, and it has the meaning of a word, the words. And the Baal Shem Tov explains, Bo el hateva, come, you have to come into the words of the praying, into the words of the Torah. It will save you from the flood. It will save you from all the troubles. This is this is the medicine actually. And the Zohar says there's something very, very special. He says there that by not showing your face in public, it's actually, you're not recognized by these messengers of the judgment. And that's what actually happens today in all the world. We're putting masks on our face. It's not convenient. Nobody likes it. It has to breathe. Yes, you don't see the one that comes against you. But from the other side, you are not recognized. And this is a real yitaron. It's a benefit because we are not recognized by these messengers of the judgment that, like it said about Egypt, that everyone should hide in his houses, even if you're very righteous. You're a very important man and you're full with mitzvahs and Torah and tefillah and you're bounded with Hashem, you're connected with Hashem. Kol hakavod, all the best to you. But you have to hide yourself because when these messengers of the judgment are going around, they don't distinguish between good and bad. So it's very interesting, I think, that today, everyone in Israel, I don't know what happens in the United States, but in Israel, everyone is hiding in their houses with their families. I went in Shabbos, I went in here, we're a very central place. And I walked with a doctor, with a neighbor that lives nearby, and he tells me he went to his synagogue, I went to my synagogue. Said, listen, it look like Yom Kippur now. No cars around. Maybe you can go in the middle of the street. What happened? So we have to think all the time, like the Torah, like the Chassidut teach us, all the time to think about the full cup. It's half. Always, it's half full and half empty. Let's think about the half that it's full. This is the thing, and what we said again, that in this time, especially in this month that we're coming to, that it's Chodesh Shvat, yeah, yes, it's going to be Rosh Chodesh, and Shvat is the initial of the word Shiyu Besorot Tovot. Let there be good news. Good news from you, good news from me, good news to Am Yisrael, and good news for all the world. Shiyu Bsorot Tovot. This is the initial of the word Shvat. Chodesh Shvat, the month that's called Shvat. Shiyu Bsorot Tovot. And Hashem, I hope that Hashem will hear our prayer to bring rain, because we don't have rain now for a long time, and it's a problem to the chaklaim, to the farmers, and to all of us, of course. Someone has questions? Someone want to say something, please.
Well, I'm here in the United States, and there's the United States is upside down, with had some rioting, in the government. They had a problem with 5 people died, on last week from the rioting. Then they are saying that the president of the United States, told people to, fight and go riot. And I heard him because he said it. And then they did. He had a crowd of people, and he said, march to the Capitol and fight. And go ahead.
They're mostly radical rights. Like they were wearing sweatshirts with Camp Auschwitz on them. They're very, racist and anti-Semitic people.
That's really important. Yeah, so there was a lot of anti-Semitic clothing being worn.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and those are the people that broke into the White House, or not White House, but into the government law making, in the Congress building. And,
Senate.
Say it
The
again.
Senate. They broke into the Senate.
Senate.
The
Thank you.
Senate.
Senate. Thank you, Patty. They broke into the Senate. Yes, that's exactly right.
But I think it never was before such a situation. I think so. I don't know exactly all the history of the United States, but I think it's the first time
Yes.
in the last 100 years.
They said the British did it or something, But yeah, anyway, so that's the state of the United States. Okay. So it's a very crazy time here, very divided, and very dangerous, and it's, that, but as far as the Jewish stuff, I had a beautiful Shabbat. I learned about Moses and, how he came, and he's, the last sentence of this week's Torah portion is that Moses said to God, "How can you inflict so much pain on these people to make them build bricks without straw?" But the point is,
Yeah, he was born actually. This Shabbos, we learned that Moses was born, and it's a very beautiful parasha. It's a very beautiful part of the Torah. A lot of things to learn there. It's actually when he stood in front of Pharaoh, he was 80 years old. So it's about this one parasha. It contains about 80 years of Moses. In very short words, they're telling all his history until age 80. And
yes, everything's a 40-year span. So it's like Moses was born, he lived in Egypt for 40 years. When in the Torah, it says he kills the Egyptian and he flees. It doesn't give any of the backstory like the Cecil B. DeMille version. Then he lives in Midian with his wife for 40 more years, becomes a shepherd, and then goes to Israel, and then frees the Jews. I don't know how many years did it take from the time he went? Was it a whole year between that and the Pharaoh left?
look, we know that we were 40 years in the desert. So, and he passed away when he was 120. So it has to be inside these 40 years. It's something, it's not a long time. It's about a year, I think.
Okay, so everything's 40 years. So everything takes 40 years. So that's the Jewish lesson.
Yes.
Okay, well, so part of what I wanted to do is, explain that what I'm doing on a project and my vision of this concept of love your neighbor, and hopefully, because Moshe asked me to do it, I would like to start and just kind of roll through that as fast in a book. Like, I don't have like really great notes, so I'm going to wing it, but I'd like to do that, providing that no one else wants to say anything and anyone else can say whatever they want, and then I'll start after. Okay.
Go ahead.
No one's saying. Okay, so let me start with Moses for my story. Okay. So from the learning, and I use the word learning, that I did, from books and classes and whatever, we learned about Moses. And in the beginning, there was this story of Adam, and Hashem was close to earth, and then through the children that were bad, and that Hashem went away from earth, meaning the energy of God left, and then when Abraham came, the energy of God started, or a godly presence started to come back. And then, but there was a correction that had to happen with, through the sin of Adam to the people. And so there was a story in the Zohar from last Parsha that said that because of the 120 years or so that Adam was not with his wife, and he did things that weren't right, that the souls had to be purified and went into Egypt. So that was what I learned just last week. But at the end of that, there was the Jews came out of Egypt. They went to meet Moses. They went to Mount Sinai, and then they had this revelation on Mount Sinai where literally the Hashem spoke to the Jewish people, and and as a result of them speaking to the Jewish people, they had something called a holiday called Shavuot. So, and that actually was interesting. I think when the time that happened, the presence of God came to the earth, and also impermeated the things to become godly. So there was this story where if nothing was holy, like if you had like an object could never be holy, it couldn't retain holiness. But after this giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai and the voice of God went into everything, then the ground and obstacles and artifacts and things became holy, and that was important. So then there was a story after that. On the 13th of Sivan, Moses went up to meet with God to get the Torah or reveal it, and then he came down on the 17th of Tammuz. And I might be wrong with my dates, but the 17th of Tammuz, he brings down these stone tablets. And in these stone tablets, there was the blessing of God that he's bringing to the Jewish people. But on that day of the 17th of Tammuz, the Jewish people also did this something called the golden calf. So with the golden calf, Moses, they say, destroyed these tablets. He cracked them, and then the Jews had that problem, that additional problem. So there was a crack and separation where there was complete unity, and then they had the problem. So what I want to do is, with understanding that there was this godly presence, through my own thought and just learning and experience, I found that for me, there was a way to, think about how, what the importance of love your neighbor is, or love your fellow as yourself, and what it meant, and the strength of that. And it ties to the giving of the Torah. And quickly, I'll say that I believe through my learning that at this point, when the Jewish people were on Mount Sinai, that they received a second soul. Okay, so all the people on Mount Sinai received a godly soul. A spark of God was put inside of them, which allows them to communicate to each other and to God. And the strength of the Jewish people is tied to this moment, and tied to the opportunity of having this godly spark connected. And that is really the point of why this concept of love your neighbor as yourself is very valuable.
I can say, Abraham.
Yeah.
I want to add that the sentence that actually saying what you're saying is Vayichan Sham Israel Keneged Ahar. The translation is that all the people of Israel were around mountain Sinai. But the word Vayichan, then the commentary says in one heart, like one man. Vayichan, it's not plural. It's a yachid. It's one.
Singular.
So single. That means that all Am Yisrael were like one man, and this is actually saying what you just said now. Chabud.
Thank you. Okay, well, so for me, as I say, for me, what I did was I thought that of the real importance of this love your neighbor. And what is it? It's this ability to have this connection, but really it's an ability to have God come back and have a dwelling place on earth inside people. If people are able to connect to this love your neighbor, then you have this space, a holy space that's created without hate, without separation, and there's a space for Hashem to dwell, in this area that we live in. Without that, with people hating each other, with people arguing, with people, whatever it is, and people don't see the value of the other person, that's probably the best way to explain it. There's a separation, and there's not a space for God to be there. Simply, I did a lot of things for this. I created a website to promote this Rebbe's Hayom Yom called ER 26, which is a Yom Yom that says, it talks about love your fellow. It talks about you must rebuke but not in hate. I'm promoting it, but really I'm promoting it because I feel that if you are able to look beyond the physical body and see the goodness inside a person of that divine spark that was given on Mount Sinai, and understand through the strength of that connection that you look beyond the body, that you understand there's this opportunity, and this is the point that I want to make, there's an opportunity to have this dwelling place for godliness in you and around you, then that may be enough to overcome the physicality of negativity of the body or of the person or of their tasks, because the obstacle of the separation could be removed by the greatness of the opportunity to have this dwelling place for Hashem in you and around you. So that is the general approach, but I wanted to say that I came up with a method, and that's I can go into I have 2 points. I'm going to talk about the method of creating a dwelling place for Hashem and a way to do it, okay? And then I want to go into just a formal example of where you can learn about it and read about it in the Tanya. But before I do, I'll pause and say if there's any questions, please, I'm all available. You have to unmute yourself, of course.
Ken, are you going to tell us the website, how to get to it?
Yeah, I'll put a link in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll put a link in. All right, so basically, I'm going to say that a system. So this is a system that I think works, okay? And so my system is, if you're in you got to think of it in the standpoint of, if you are really trying to have a Hashem come into your world, how's he going to show up? Is he come into your door of your house? Maybe. Is he going to come into the door of the field? Maybe. But I'm going to tell you that the closest place that I could, when I use rationalize in, he's likely going to come in where there's a space that he's already at. And I'm going to describe it as, if you're in a shul that's a kosher minyan, and a shul that has a good Torah, and it has an Aaron a Kodesh, that Hashem has a propensity to be in a space that he can, and he can likely be this gateway between heaven and earth in the Torah, in the Aaron a Kodesh, in the shul. So in this space where the Torah is as holy as you can probably find in most cases. In this Aaron Kodesh, it should be designed that it has this connecting point between the two worlds. So if you're in an environment, my opinion is that if you can there's the story from learning that, 10 Jews together brings the ability for the Shekinah to be sitting with you. So what we want is we want to have this Shekinah revealed with this higher level of light revealed from the Torah. It's a little complicated to explain, but I explain it like that. That's what we want, this Ruach to come out, which is the higher level of Hashem, and the lower level of Shekinah to meet, and then have a dwelling place so it can come out. And I have this method, system, idea that if you're able to do this of connecting with the individuals that are there with you, the other people that have the second soul that was given on Mount Sinai, and you can look through their body, okay, remove, from a standpoint of understanding the benefit that you would have of this, of this divine presence being there, you might be able to make a stronger connection to the person for the knowledge that you'd have this great benefit. And that the point is, if you're in a place that has the Torah, if you're in a place that has the Aron HaKodesh, when that door opens from the Aron HaKodesh and you have the connection of your Jewish people, I think even on your own, without the support of the people, that you can make this connection to that spark, create this strength of from this original divineness that happened where everyone was connected, and have a dwelling place, certainly at least for you. And then hopefully that will be the strength that will give it enough energy, through you to share with other people. Go ahead.
Avraham, I want to ask something of you, Avraham. When it's available, I want to ask something, Avraham.
Yeah. So anyway, that's me just explaining. Look at people, see through their body, see from the understanding the benefit that there's a divine spark, a Pintel Yid. Have that, try to have that warmth, and then invite Hashem in. That's
What I want to add, I think that it's a good idea, and I think that it's like they're giving an example that when you see a plane going in the air right above you, you have no doubt that there's inside this plane, there's an engine. Yes? It's not going alone. There's an engine over there. There's a Silon engine, the special engine, okay, very strong. Okay, but there's an engine over there. So I think that the fact that you know something, that you really think about it, and you're really concentrating in the fact that every Jew has a part of God inside him, and you think about it again and again, the minute you're going to see him, you are automatically, you see the divine point that he has inside him. You relate to him in that way. And it's because you're thinking about it. I mean, for us, we have no question about it. Nobody can convince us otherwise that this plane has an engine inside. So the same we have to understand that our fellow Jew, the one that with us in synagogue, man or a woman, she has this divine point, this godly soul inside her. And even if she's thinking otherwise, or she's talking not in the right way, or she's doing not the right things, it doesn't change this fact. She's not using her potential, but she has this potential inside her. And this is something that really can give us power to love our fellow Jew like we love ourselves. And this is very important what I want to say. And one more point I want to add is, if I want you, sometimes you see that you come to the synagogue and you don't feel this divine feeling, you don't feel the presence of Hashem. So I want to say from my small experience that you have to wake up this point in other people. When you come to one of the people that pray there, and you say, listen, good morning, how are you? You try to connect with someone. Maybe you want to teach me, maybe we'll learn together. Maybe just to talk, about business, about life, about politics, I don't know. But you connect yourself with the other one. I think that it's make easier to this point to reveal itself. That's what I wanted to say.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
What for me, if I could share this, like I lost my first husband like 40 years ago. He committed suicide.
Oh, right.
And I was, devastated and crying out to God and praying to God, how can I go on? What can I do? And I really, God said, he said something like, it's a blink of an eye. And I just said, well, how will I know you? And God said, it's the spirit of truth, a body tingle. And so to this day on, I get a body tingle. Like I feel like that is God inside of me. If I'm thinking of something, if I have a conversation with someone, if a song touches me, if music touches my heart, and I get the body tingle, I know that's God, inside.
He's here. He's with you.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
does that sound like something to you, Rabbi?
Yeah, I think that the one that the Baal Shem Tov says, that we have to see actually God is all. All is God, and God, everything is actually Him, because He created everything, and He created from Himself. So there's nothing except of Him. But of course, we can choose, and when we choose good things, it can, like you said, it can be music, it can be a connection with someone, it can be a conversation, everything. It can be, I don't know, if you go to a trip to see the world, or you see pictures of the world, and you say, wow, it's like in Hebrew we say, Magadlu ma'aseh Hashem, Marabu ma'aseh Hashem. How big is the things you created? How beautiful is the world that you created? So actually, we're saying that this is, it says, like when you come to a museum and you see a picture that someone drew, and you say, it's amazing picture. It's really, I feel this picture. It's excite me. It's give me really thoughts. So probably the one that painted this picture is very special, because if he can create such a thing, he's very special. Mm-hmm. And the same we say about the world. If the world, this is the creation of Hashem, and it's such a beautiful world, not easy. It's not an easy world, but so much beautiful things in this world. So we can have a grasp of what is the creator. And I think that this is what you're expressing, that sometimes you hear a song and it touches you. You see a movie, or you see a picture and it talks to you. You feel like Hashem is talking to you. And in a way, it's the truth. It's actually everything in the world. It's like signs that tells Hashem doesn't speak to us. We're not Avraham Avinu. We're not Moses. Hashem talked with Moses. He was the greatest prophet of all the prophets, but he doesn't speak to me. But you know, in the around you, you see hints. He says, "Listen, I'm here. I didn't forget you." And
Yeah.
this is the connection that actually we have with Hashem. And like Rabbi Avraham said, if we are in a connection with other people and we think, what can we do good to our people in the community? It doesn't have to be to all of them. Sometimes 3 people, 4 people, 4 women, 3 women, 7 women, but it's like makes waves, you know, waves of goodness, waves of giving, waves that influence all the world.
Mhm.
And this is a very big power that we have, that yes, that gives us to take ourselves up above the problems, above the hard times. Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to just say, Alan, thank you for that. You know, I definitely have had that same kind of experience with that feeling, you know, whatever that buzz is, you know, I know what she's talking about. You know, it's like a little bit of adrenaline and high. But, you know, for me, I've also realized that it's important to look at the source of that, and skipping anything that you had experienced. I have had experiences that for me, that for music especially, it's very powerful for me. And if I look at the source, you know, in some cases, for lack of a better term, I try to put limitations on the amount of energy, from making sure it's good energy that comes in for me. So, because, you know, you could be in a place and you're having a great time, but the energy in some cases is from the bottom. Okay. Some cases it's from the top. Some cases it's a mixture. So for me, I have felt that, you know, you can put some holiness around it and bring in that energy with the positive aspect of it. So I noticed that, you know, and so if I'm in an environment where there's music, I actually think music opens up a channel, and I try to have a channel with it being positive. But I wanted to, so that I've just experienced, you know, that, and, you know, but as far as me knowing where it's coming from, you know, I look at you know, what you're doing, I think impacts it. If you're doing the right thing, you know, likely it's from a positive place. It's sometimes, you know, it could be, I'm telling you, I can't tell the difference of where, you know, if it feels right, if that connection is from the right side or the left side. There's a complication to this feeling, not in general, that is that there's a story that you know, if you're doing a mitzvah and you have a wholehearted approach to the mitzvah, and you're going to get information that is completely pure from an angel that's going to give you the right information. If you're doing something, you know, that is not, you know, that's half energy, half-hearted, then you're going to get half good information and half, you know, who knows where you're going to get the missing part of that, of what you're working on, you know, could be, you know, false, or, you know, could be, you know, convoluted. So it's never, you know, this is what I've learned. This is books that have told me that, you know, this is not, you know, so I just have to rely a combination of instinct and learning. But I wanted to just finish what I wanted to say on the Torah thing, if that would be okay, unless you have more.
Yeah, of course, yes.
I have something to say here.
Please.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Hi, Moshe. Yeah, I think, you know, the idea of connecting and finding, you know, looking at someone, or particularly in a place like Shul and, you know, the Aron Kodesh. I mean, this makes sense. I mean, Jan, you know, they're all, you know, good places. But Moshe, you were talking earlier about, you know, we live in a special time. particularly with this COVID. And I found myself that it has brought out the worst in many people, and sometimes in me too. For example, I'm very makpida. I'm very meticulous about, the mask and social distancing. And if I'm going someplace in public and people are not wearing a mask, a supermarket, someone is breathing down my neck behind me, I say something, and it's hard for people. Some people take it well, and many people do not. Many people, I think what we see, and most of these are Jews. I live, like you in Haifa Israel, and we see people, they may have the spark of Hashem in them, but what we see is without any other, it's obnoxious. People just are only concerned about what's going to make them comfortable or happy right now. The mask makes them uncomfortable. The space, they don't want to keep a space. People will, if somebody invites me over for lunch and I say, I'm not eating with anybody at this time, people might get angry at me. They don't want to understand. If I try to give information to someone about, I know I just took the chisun a little over a week ago. I took the vaccination, and I had read that alcohol, you can't drink alcohol for, we don't know exactly how much time before and after the vaccination. It lowers the immune system. It makes the vaccine not work too well. And I had gotten it before Shabbat and not knowing. And of course I had some wine, and I was telling a friend, and she said, well, it doesn't matter. And, she's a religious person. I feel like people are not together. It's very hard.
I think, I want to say something. I think that people really don't know how to react. And this is the problem with, it's not only us, even if I'm calling my rabbi, I'm asking him what's going to be in Shabbos. He said, listen, I don't know. It was Friday, or I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to be. We don't know. People really have no information. Nobody knows, even the government, even people that supposed to know how to react and how to behave. They cannot really say exactly what helps and what's not, because it's a new thing for the world, for all the world. So people are actually very confused. And like I said before in the beginning of the shiur, that it's all over the world. We didn't have a situation like this since the flood. So I think that, first of all, that people doesn't know how to deal with this. We can really understand them. But because we are, Baruch Hashem, we live with faith, we believe in Hashem, and we know that everything that happened is from Hashem. So I think that we have the merit to look on things, to look on the situation in few more angles, that other people don't have it. To think that maybe that's what. Yes, please.
I don't know if it's so much. I think though, you would hope that people, well, forgetting people, it doesn't even bring out the best in me, if Ken is saying something about making a space for Hashem, between, trying to connect with the best or the spark, with this other Jew, there's so much, darkness or obnoxiousness. I don't even want to connect with them. And, that's the last, it's not a good thing, to only connect in Beit Knesset, to only connect in Shul, with the Aron Kodesh. I think, it's beautiful, but we live in a world where, the hatred, that's not the only place where things happen. things happen outside of the shul. Things happen in supermarkets, on the streets. I mean, I was crossing the street and a guy almost, hit me. He's on his phone and I'm in the crosswalk and he comes right in. I mean, so we live in a time, I mean, this is before the COVID, and I know it's in America too, where people just, they're only in their own capsule. They're only, and, I think HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us, I know I work where I work now, we work in capsules. And I haven't seen half of my office since September. So it's, what I'm saying is, it sounds very nice what Ken is saying. I'm just wondering about there seems to be so many more opportunities for bad things to happen than good.
But what I want to ask, listen, look about our lesson now, yes?
Yeah.
We're talking with people from United States together, and in Yirtzeh Hashem, people from Europe can join us, and from Australia and from South Africa. And you can sit together and think about very spiritual things together, to talk about them, to tell what we feel about it, to leshatef, to share our feelings, things we passed, even we really don't really know one each other. And I think that maybe it's some kind, we say, the Torah says that before Hashem gives a problem to the world, something to cope with, the medicine comes before the problem. In Hebrew we say Magdim Refu'a Lamaka. The cure comes to the world before the problem appears. And I think that one of the things that we're not using it enough is this Zoom, to be together, to think together, to pray together about like Rabbi Avraham said before. One of the things that really influence our feeling for one each other is to pray for one on the other. It's right. When we're praying about someone, we say, listen, I don't feel so good, please pray for me. And we're praying for him. We're really thinking good about him. We're right. Connecting. We have a kind of triangle. It's me and him and God, and we're bounding together. And it's a point that has a lot of power. And I think that maybe Hashem wants to tell us, get inside, to be more, look inside ourselves, to find Hashem more in our inner world, in our house, in our family, in our friends. And not to, usually people are distracting, I don't know if I say the right word, distracting their mind. They're going to a football game, they're going to a concert, they're going to the theater, they're going to there, they're going to there. Now, all these things, it's impossible now. Mm-hmm. So what do you say? Oh, you say, listen, I'm really, it's horrible. Okay, but maybe Hashem wants us to find another way to connect with one each other. Something more pure, something more real, something more mature, more from the inner point of the soul, from the godly soul. And this is just something that gives us the reasons around you not to spread around, that just to concentrate in what we have. This is what I wanted to say, but please continue, Brena, Avraham.
I want to add something, Brena, just to say you have to protect yourself. everywhere. I mean, I think, there's a story that you have, in the Torah and the Talmud and everything, that you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself from your fellow Jew. There's a mitzvah, if there's a Jew that is doing something wrong, that's educated and smart and knows the Torah and is doing something wrong, there's a mitzvah to rebuke him and even to hate him. Okay, so now I don't have the education to expound on that, but the point is, you have to protect yourself in any environment. But what I want to add to my feeling on it is that I have one level of deepness beyond this, this knowledge that is in the capacity of knowing what lies beyond the, if you're able to make this connection of this, bringing in this dwelling place and having this connection, and and it goes beyond you, okay? If this connection goes beyond you and it penetrates the other people, which is the goal. It's the penetration of everybody should be cleansed by this goodness of God with mercy. At that moment, in the end, the hate and the challenge I believe it will disappear. I believe that from a standpoint of what you'll see into the person is the godly spark, and your heart will be open and warm, and you won't, and fortunately, those physical things that you have to separate from won't be an issue. And
another point I want to say to Braina, that what the Baal Shem Tov teaches us is that actually what we see in the other person, it's a reflection of our situation. And it's sometimes hard to say, but if I see something that is behaving in, like you say, in a way of capsula, and he's hating everyone around him. So maybe I have to, it doesn't mean, there's a story about the Baal Shem Tov that he saw someone that was not keeping Shabbos. And he fasted for 3 days because he wanted to have an answer from the sky, from heaven, that they will tell him in what way he didn't keep Shabbos. Because if he sees something that doesn't keep Shabbos, that means that he himself didn't keep Shabbos. And he wanted so badly to know what was the thing that he didn't keep Shabbos with. And I don't know who told him the solution. Maybe it was Eliyahu Hanavi, maybe it was an angel, maybe, I don't know, Ruach HaKodesh, I don't know. But he found out that one day he heard someone saying bad words about Talmid Chacham, about rabbi. And he didn't say anything. And because Talmid Chacham is called Shabbos, so because he didn't protest about what he said, in a way it was not keeping Shabbos. So what I want to say to Braina is, if I see, and just last week I met someone in a situation, it's not the time now to say, maybe remind me next week, but it was horrible, really horrible. I didn't hear things like this for many, many years, I think. But the thing I thought after I saw his hatred and the way he spoke about religious people, I thought, what's wrong with me? If I had to see it, I mean, if I would come 5 minutes later or 5 minutes before, I wouldn't meet this person. So what does Hashem want to tell me? He wants to tell me that I have something to fix with Ahavat Israel. I have to add Ahavat Israel. It's not enough what I'm doing. I have to do a little bit more. So I think that if we see something like this, and we're just thinking, what can I do more? maybe a good word to one of my friends, maybe to talk with someone, with a relative, maybe to, I don't know, to find a way how to spread goodness. When I see darkness, the only way I can deal with darkness is to light another candle. This is our way. This is the Hasidut way. Light another candle. This is what I wanted to say, and I hope that we light a lot of candles, and the darkness has no power. It's just a lack of light. When you light, the darkness just disappears. It doesn't fight even. And let's hope that we'll see soon the big light of Hashem appears, and He will send us Mashiach Tzidkenu soon.
Thank you.
And let me just wrap up and say I'm going to send a link to this Tanya. So Tanya has the part that's really important and about what I was trying to explain. It's chapter number 32 in the Tanya.
Maybe we can say that next week we'll give a few minutes of the shir about this chapter. So you can look at. I'm sure there's in the internet you can find this chapter in Hebrew for sure, and probably in English too.
I'll send an audio recording.
Excellent.
As soon as this is over to the group, but I have it. It's done by Rabbi Gordon. He does it in English. It's chapter 32. It's wonderful. But the interesting thing, that I didn't study for years, chapter 32, but it really supports this process that I've explained. Okay.
For sure, and if everyone agrees, so we'll talk a little bit about chapter 32 next week.
Yeah, and finally, I wanted to just add that the strength of what I'm saying has to go along with paying attention and trying to make a audio and visual connection to the Torah. So if there's an opportunity to do it with the people, it's part of making, hearing the Torah reading, really absorbing that and having that as part of the whole thing. And it just builds, it builds. So anyway, thank you very much for letting me speak. But anyway, so Moshe Guy, you can wrap it up. Thank you very much. I know you already did, but thank you. Anything else?
Thank you all. Thank you all. It's very good. יישר כוח גדול. And Shavua Tov, and let us, I hope we'll meet next week, healthy and happy.
And Tu B'Shvat, just to throw that out there, that's a holiday, right? Tu
B'Shvat, it's coming soon. We have more time, but yes, we're getting close to Tu B'Shvat. It's actually the beginning of the spring.
And there's a Sephardic tradition of a Seder, a Tu B'Shvat Seder.
That's true. That's true.
Which hopefully I'll hopefully get some information to share next week about that.
In your session. Okay.
Thank you.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Shavua Tov. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. That's all.
Bye.